Bloom where you are planted, the Salesian secret to everyday holiness. This well known dictum stems from St. Francis de Sales, a saintly bishop and doctor of the church. This dictum, bloom where you are planted, carries deep spiritual wisdom. It means that right here, in the place and season He has put you, He is asking you to grow, to bear fruit, and to radiate His love. Another saying from St. Francis de Sales similar to this is, let us be what we are and let us be it at our best. In our Salesian tradition, this is not just encouragement, it's a way of life. St. Francis de Sales, the gentle saint of the 17th century, believed holiness is for everyone, not only monks and nuns behind cloister walls, but every Christian. The mother at home, the teacher in the classroom, the farmer in his field, the youth chasing dreams, the priest in his parish, the sister in her mission. Today, let us see what it means in a Salesian way to bloom here and now. The first point for our reflection today is what blooming means for a Salesian heart. For St. Francis de Sales, blooming begins with three convictions. First of all, embrace the present moment. Our life is lived in the now. The past is memory, the future is mystery, but the present is the sacrament of God's love. Holiness happens in the now. Secondly, find God in the ordinary. Holiness doesn't require extraordinary settings. It thrives in kitchens, classrooms, workshops, offices, streets, and marketplaces. Thirdly, answer the universal call to holiness. Every vocation is fertile soil for God's grace. The place you are in today is not an accident. God chose it, and in that very place, with its joys, routines, and even its struggles, He is waiting to meet you. The second point for reflection today, God's presence in our everyday soil. Blooming is only possible if we believe the gardener is always at work. First of all, God's goodness is in creation. Every sunrise, every smile, every moment of beauty carries His touch. Secondly, the sacramental nature of reality. A simple act, listening to a friend, preparing a meal, doing your work well, can become a meeting place with God. Thirdly, trust in His providence. Even the hard soil of challenges can produce deeper roots if we trust His plan. The third point for reflection today is the Salesian tools for growth. To bloom, we need the right tools, virtues that St. Francis de Sales called little virtues. First of all, simplicity and humility. These virtues keep us grounded in God's love and open to His action. They prevent the weeds of pride and self-sufficiency from choking our growth. Secondly, gentleness and patience. St. Francis de Sales was known as the gentleman saint because his kindness could melt the ice of the coldest hearts. Patience allows us to grow steadily, respecting God's timing in ourselves and in others. Thirdly, gratitude and joy. A grateful heart sees God's blessings even in difficulties. Joy springs from the assurance that God is with us, making our present soil fertile. And above all, live Jesus. Carry Him in your heart so that your words, actions, and even your silences breathe His presence. The fourth point for reflection today, practical ways to bloom where you are planted. Here are some Salesian gardening tips for the soul. First of all, prayer and reflection. Set aside daily time for prayer, not only formal prayers, but also mental prayer and simple heart-to-heart conversations with God. Secondly, the practice of presence. Remind yourself often of God's nearness. Begin your work with a direction of intention. Lord, I do this for you. Thirdly, the spiritual bouquet. Gather one or two inspirations during prayer or reading and keep them with you throughout the day, smelling them spiritually whenever your heart needs refreshment. Fourthly, examination of conscience. Review your day each evening, where you bloomed, where you failed, and where you need God's grace tomorrow. The fifth point for our reflection today: obstacles that can choke growth. Blooming isn't always easy. Three common weeds threaten our garden. The first one, distractions and busyness. Carve out moments of silence, even if just a few minutes, to let your soul breathe. Second, discontentment and comparison. Instead of envying another's garden, tend to your own. God knows where your gifts will bear the most fruit. Third, fear and anxiety. Trust that God's love is constant. He has planted you where you can grow best. The sixth point for our reflection: the fruits of blooming. When we live this way, the fruits are visible. First of all, inner peace and joy, rooted in God's love, not in circumstances. Secondly, meaning and purpose. Even the smallest tasks become acts of worship. Thirdly, growth and transformation. We become more Christ-like without even realizing it. The seventh point for our reflection today: models of our journey. We have two great models in this Salesian path. First, St. Francis de Sales, gentle, humble, tireless, and creative in his evangelization. He shows us that holiness is approachable for everyone. Second, St. Joseph, the sublime model of everyday virtues. He teaches faithfulness in small tasks and quiet trust in God. To conclude, a timeless invitation. Blooming where we are planted is not passive resignation. It is active love. It's saying to God, "Here I am, Lord. Let me grow where you have placed me. Let me bear fruit for you in this very soil." The soil may sometimes feel rocky, the weather harsh, but remember, the gardener knows exactly what he is doing. So let us live Jesus with joy, tend the garden he has given us, and trust his timing. And may our bloomings inspire others to do the same until the whole world becomes a garden of God's beauty. Live Jesus.